Welcome everyone to Come On Spurs TV. We are reviewing the last 16 matches. Through plenty of excitement, we shall do all of the reviews in the next few seconds. Join us on the other side. Come on, Spurs. Welcome to Come On Spurs TV, where we do everything Spurs. My name is Soji. Today I have with me Chuma, and I also have Ben. Chuma, as I like to call him, is an in-house guru. Ben is one of our favorite guests. He's always here and is always very supportive. Thank you very much for joining us. How are you guys?
Very well, thank you.
I mean, I'm trying very hard to contain my excitement. You can tell that I'm being very calm. I'm trying to be like, very measured in my tone. I don't want to give away how excited I am because I mean the last 16 matches were absolutely lit. I mean, I can't remember a dull match. I mean, if okay, maybe I had a few disappointments in some of the matches, especially maybe performance of one or two teams. I was expecting a lot more from, but overall, I think the last 16 matches threw up a lot of fun, didn't they? I mean, Ben, what do you reckon?
Yeah, they threw up so much fun. It was brilliant. It was good seeing England, despite what most people were saying, actually doing well. I mean, I was quite impressed the way they played against Senegal. It's a shame to see them go out, see Senegal go out, but I think England deserved it. But yeah, all the other matches were absolutely lit, as you said. I thoroughly enjoyed them, and I'm looking forward to the quarters. So yeah, it's been great overall for me.
Okay, so, I mean, I don't even know where to start. But before we go into the details of all the matches, if you're here for the first time, this is Come On Spurs TV. You can subscribe to our channel, share with your colleagues or friends, relatives, or whoever you know that you think will benefit from this. And also, if you need to know whenever we go live or have videos put out there, click on the bell notification button and get notified anytime we go live. So comment, like, and share. That would be great. Right. The lineups kind of probably didn't fit what you might call the traditional expectation given the teams that actually qualified for the last 16 this time round. If we just have a quick look at see what the lineups look like. I mean, when the first round of matches in the group stages were played, I mean, this is what it threw up, right? So this were the matchups, and run us through this matchup. I mean, Chuma.
It was. To be honest, like my uncle always says that World Cup or any major event, there are always these countries that depend on it. And you got Argentina, Brazil, France, Spain. You probably throw in Italy and Germany. Italy didn't qualify. The Germans didn't make it through. But if you look at this, these are the guys you expect. In majority, these are the guys you expect to make it through. And they got to the 16. So I expected these teams to get through, most of the big boys.
Absolutely. So, I mean, if you look at it on paper, maybe it's some of the teams that people didn't expect to see in this second round of 16. Or probably teams like maybe Australia, maybe Japan, Senegal, perhaps Morocco, and Korea, right?
Yeah.
But I mean that says a lot in itself. I mean, given that these are teams that you don't expect, but they're quite a large contingent of what you might call in quote lesser teams this at this stage of the competition. And like you said, I mean, we had Germany going out in the first stages. I mean, that's like and for the second time in a row, for that matter. That's the second time in a row that they go out in the group stages. you know, is this rewriting the story of world rankings and powers in world football? Is something that's been is that what do you reckon?
Won't
I would
change.
say, yeah, I would just say there's no respect anymore because even with the first round, seeing teams like Australia, Korea, and the rest of them, it was the fact that those teams didn't lay down. Before, you'd have a World Cup where people would lay down. You know who is going to get through. You know who is going to win. This World Cup has been hugely surprising because we've gone into games saying first half maybe the bigger team or the more known team played well. All of a sudden, the second half, you just see a barrage. And in the case of a team like Japan, Japan shocked two big boys in a row. Like that was never expected that Japan uh would beat a Germany and then beat a Spain. It's unheard of, really. But that's what's happening now.
Absolutely. So we,
And the
I mean,
rankings.
second.
Talk, talking about the rankings, I
Yeah.
I don't have any respect for FIFA rankings because I believe no seriously
I agree.
1994 1994, if you check your history or if you just remember 1994 where we played in America, USA 1994. Was it 94? No, it was, yeah, it was 94.
Yeah,
USA
it was
94.
like yeah.
Yeah. And what happened? Nigeria was fifth in the world in the FIFA ranking. Then they just checked everything and said, no, this can't happen. So they changed the working. They changed out how they're going to work out every team's ranking. So now at this World Cup, you saw teams that were stupidly ranked, but they were beating the European teams that this thing favored, because I think what they did was they said, well, if Nigeria beats Ghana, yeah, those are two backward teams. They'll get 1 point each. Whereas when England beat Andorra, they get twice the points we get from beating Cameroon. So me, I don't believe in that. And for me, the rankings don't play on the pitch. It's the players that play there. And all these players are now playing in big leagues. Look at Morocco. All their players are in Spain. Some of them are born in Spain, for like crying out loud. So for me, the next World Cup, I'm going to be there live. Thank God. This is my second World Cup because they have New Jersey is going to be hosting some matches, Philadelphia, Philly as well, and New York. So I'm going to have 3 matches I can go watch. So I'm looking forward to it. And there's going to be 9 and a third African teams. Yeah, because they gave us the playoff.
They gave us the extra.
Give us 10
Yeah,
teams.
there's 48 teams now, I think. Next one.
No, give us the whole one. Make it 10. See, Europe took 5 extra, right? They took 5 extra, and they gave us 4.5, 4 and a third. Why? So teams like Andorra, and Luxembourg will get through.
Luxembourg, yeah, exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
I mean, it's yeah. I mean, world football politics and rankings and all of that is, I think it's all driven by commercial considerations, if you like. I think when those play a part in how decisions are made, you're bound to get skewed decisions like and outcomes that we're seeing. But I mean, we kind of threw up the first lot of matches. The first match that was played in the group stages was Netherlands against the USA. I mean, I think that went according to the form book, if you like. I mean, a few people thought maybe the US would upset the form book, given how energetic they were, and they'll probably run Netherlands to the ground. But I think master tactician Mr. Van Gaal had everything well sorted, and he just puts people on Pulisic, and they couldn't play. They just couldn't play. And in the end, the Netherlands ran out 3-1 winners. For me, I actually thought Dumfries played a really, really good game. I mean, I know he was turned out to be man of the match, but I mean, 1 assist, in fact. And
2 assists.
Sorry, 2 assists, man. I'm sorry,
2 assists,
and he scored a goal as well, which was absolutely amazing. I mean, the Spurs link is he's been on our radar. I mean, tell us a bit more about that, Chuma.
No, Denzel Dumfries is an excellent player. He was captain of PSV by the time he was 20. Um, and every time you saw him play for PSV, even though he was playing at right back, right wing back, the guy was always in the opposition half, always in the opposition half. And he's carried it in. He's moved to Inter Milan. His move to Inter Milan has been a bit bittersweet. He plays very well, but once results were going against them, the fans sort of turned on him. But Van Gaal has always trusted him. Van Gaal really likes him, and the guy he does his job. He does the job of a wing back so well. He's always in your position third. He's part of the front line. The goal he scored was what a striker. He just side foot volleyed it, put two excellent crosses in, and he's a deservedly man of the match that game. With the Americans, on the other hand, I would say they're still quite a naive nation. Regardless of the fact they've been playing for a while, they're quite naive. They didn't have a killer striker, and with all the athleticism, all he can do is help you press. But you win the ball, what do you do with the ball? The only person who had a clue was Pulisic, and like you said, Van Gaal blocked him off, and then they had no striker. They had no other person that could carry that ball into the Dutch half. Even their goal was sort of quite fortuitous as well. The guy tried to do a back heel and came off someone and he just went looped over the keeper. Meanwhile, the Dutch, their goalkeeper is a man mountain. The guy's like 6'7" or something. The guy is
Yeah,
a
it's
mountain.
quite tall, isn't it?
It's just it's just impossible to shoot past the guy if he opens up his body when you're 1-on-1, which we saw quite a few times. He sticks his feet out and he just blocks it. So yeah, it was a good game for the Dutch.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking at Dumfries, I mean, what's played 41 times for the Netherlands, and his goal count is not that bad for a wing back. He's got six goals, in 41 appearances, and 6 of those goals have come only in the last year. So I mean, look, he's got two in this World Cup. Before that, he's got 4 goals, so it hasn't been that bad actually. So it's been, um, what I think it's going to be a good player. He's only, how old is he? 26.
Yeah, it's 25, 26, I think.
Yeah, he's 26. So yeah, I mean, yeah, he's still got a long way ahead of him, and I hear he's on Spurs radar. I mean,
Well,
but
Spurs
given what he's doing so
Spurs
far
fans,
in the World Cup, I have a feeling that he might be priced out of our league.
like I think quite a few players that were on Spurs' radar and have done well in this World Cup. I think they're no longer on the radar based on financial expectations. He has another 30 million thrown on top of his price tag now.
I know,
You know,
right?
so yeah,
Yeah,
he's
so easy qualification there for Netherlands, and then came up next up was Argentina versus Australia. Again,
interesting.
that was for me that was a Messi show, wasn't it?
Oh,
at
Uh,
one
I'll
point,
allow
I
Ben.
tell you
I'll
this,
allow
at
Ben to
one
talk
point,
about this. Ben, what do you think?
Ben, maybe
yeah,
you want to take this one.
yeah, at one point, Messi was freaking walking on water. There was oh man! I saw him just accelerate away from those guys. There were 3 guys around him. He just it was like he was on skates. He just went through, and I thought, wow, what a player! Now I understand. I understand now why our resident Zeus loves the guy. The guy was just fantastic to my mind. But yeah, Australia, they didn't really stand a chance against Argentina. Argentina had their first upset, their first game, but after that, they pulled themselves together. I mean, they had gone unbeaten for 30 matches, I think it was, until that match. So to me, Argentina deserved to win. I was even shocked to see 2-1 here. I thought it was more, but
At the end of the game,
Australia.
that's why they brought on Lautaro Martinez, and Lautaro Martinez succeeded in messing up like 4 or 5 chances Messi created on the plate. Like, and I love Lautaro. I think he's a very good player. He's been linked to Spurs as well, but on this showing, Spurs fans were all online saying, no, 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 keep him. Inter, keep him. Him and Lukaku, his friend and strike partner. I think this World Cup has been a disaster for both of them, really. Lautaro Martinez, at the end of the game, like Messi just kept on, like he just kept on feeding the guy, and the guy just kept on, like every chance he took was just the wrong
We
option,
dodged the
you know.
bullet. We dodged the
And then
bullet.
the young boy from Man City has taken his chance. Alvarez. Alvarez is now definitely locked on to be Argentina's striker now. And Lautaro Martinez and then another player who didn't come on in that game, but you saw him celebrating when Messi scored was Dybala. It was such a shock. Like I actually had a debate in another group that someone said Dybala. I said Dybala is in the squad, but Dybala has not played any minutes. They haven't really used him, and it's such a shame when you think of how stacked Argentina are. Di Maria is now on the bench because he messed up the first couple of games. But Argentina, just Messi is enjoying himself. He just doesn't have the same pace as he used to. There was that chance Ben was talking about where he saw, if he had that old Messi pace, he would have just walked straight to the goal. But he didn't. So
I mean, to say that Messi is a genius is a big understatement, isn't it? I mean, he's such a player. I mean,
Yeah.
it makes the whole thing look so easy, and that's the hallmark of a great player, isn't it?
It is. Absolutely.
Now, I mean, moving on to Croatia and Japan. I mean,
oh,
so I thought Japan
played
should
well.
have won this match. I mean, while while they had all the steam and energy in the first half, which was a bit of a strange one, because if you look how Japan have played in this World Cup so far, they seem to always turn up the ante, up the ante in the second half,
Yeah.
But this time around, they actually played really well in the first half and seemed to run out of steam by the close of by the start of the second half, and Croatia came back and and ended up, almost winning even in regular time. Now,
Yeah.
I thought Perisic was absolutely fantastic in this match. I don't know I don't know what you guys think, because for me Perisic was, even though the goalkeeper ended up being winning man of the match, but I thought in regular play Perisic for me was the man of the match. I think obviously the only reason he won the man of the match in this case was because he saved 3 penalties. He was the hero on the night. But so I mean that obviously made him man of the match. Dominic Livakovic. This is one of those players who, if you look at him, I mean, he has never played outside of Croatia. He's always played for Zagreb or one of those lesser teams in that league. So surprisingly, I mean, he's there in the World Cup squad, and he's doing a great job for them. What happened to Japan? I mean, Chuma, what do you reckon? I mean, did they run out of steam?
Well, I think you're not doing it intentionally, but you're doing a little disservice to Livakovic as a goalkeeper. During the game, Japan had chances. Like Japan had started the same way. In the last two games, Japan have had less than 20% possession at any given point, but they just create more chances. They have 20%, but that 20%, they are so effective. And the keeper did so many things. He came out, he was very brave, he stuck his feet out, he bodied people, chose the right angles. Japan were not clinical. If Japan had been more clinical, the guy who scored the goal, Maeda from Celtic, Maeda, and he didn't really do as well as he should have. He still got his goal. But my goodness, they had chances. I honestly expected them to be way ahead because the Croatians were sort of slow. They look, the whole Croatia an old squad kind of thing because of Modric, maybe Perisic as well. But they were slow. They were not moving fast. They had Kovacic and Brozovic in midfield. They were not really connecting as well. But every time the Japanese attacked, you just felt, man, these guys are going to score. There's an energy that Japan and to a lesser extent, I'll say Korea have, that there's this thing about them. They have this gingered spirit of movement. And for whatever reason, it just didn't, they couldn't finish. And Croatia just stayed there, stayed the course. It was like experience. It was more like the Muhammad Ali thing, the rope-a-dope. They just took it, and then. But to look at the header from Perisic, if you watch that thing again, he twists his neck, but he puts spin on that ball. So normal basis, that keeper should have tried to save that ball. But that spin, that is an experienced header from Perisic. Perisic has really been the best of their old guard that have been playing in this World Cup. I think Perisic has been the best. Perisic has played really well the last two games. The keeper got it because of penalties naturally and what he did during the game. But Perisic has been overall, I think he's been the best player consistently in every season.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't even disagree on that one. I mean, I mean, Croatia come away on that one on penalties, and brings us to one of my favorite matches of the World Cup so far. You know, I mean, and the what we call the Richarlison show. Now, I think okay, there have been a lot of good goals in this World Cup so far. You know, but every time Mr. Richie comes along and he plays, he scores some absolutely amazing goals. I mean, I don't know if you saw this goal. Even though he scored the goal, he actually assisted to score the goal. If that makes sense. Ben, did you see the goal?
Did I see the goal? I saw the goal. I saw the goal. I even saw the dancing as well, and I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. I mean,
which a lot of pundits, especially the English pundits, did not take lightly to. But hey, they can moan as much as they want, but that was the Richie show. In Igbo land, we call that match Umbuka. because man, they tore them to shreds. There should have been more goals, to be fair. But Brazil were the team for me. They came there with their samba movement and everything else. But if you notice, apart from what Richie did, the Brazilians play like Europeans. There's none of that JJ Okocha sort of style that was exhibited by what's his name? Oh, what's the guy that was in with JJ in PSG? I forget his name. Smiley guy.
Ronaldinho.
Right, yeah, that's it, Ronaldinho. I knew it began with an R, but yeah, he was. I say he was. Brazil play like a European team because they've learned that to beat the Europeans, you've got to play like them, and not only that, most of their players play in Europe as well. I mean, the striker plays for a famous team in North London, and the other striker who got injured is obviously playing for the scum up the road or down the road. But no, Brazil is a complete team. I can't see them losing like they did to Germany 7-1. That's not the team we have now. We have a vibrant, energetic, and freaking entertaining team. And long may they continue to dance because that makes us laugh rather than start bitching about dancing on the pitch. Now, for me, it was a brilliant match to watch. There were 4 goals. I can't remember who scored other ones, but for me, the goal that stood up.
So Vinicius Junior scored the first goal with an assist from Neymar.
Paquetá scored. That's true. I remember his goal, and I remember his dance where he was shaking his head like a fish out of water. It was so good. It was like, no, it was an absolutely smashing match to watch.
Yeah, we've had plenty of talk about Brazil's celebration, and some people have the view that it was a little bit disrespectful to their position, and you know, I totally disagree. You know, I mean, it's a culture. I mean, they celebrate goals. You know, and I actually thought it brought a lot of flavor to the match. I mean, if anything at all, I mean, it had nothing to do with Korea. I mean, you know, they would do that against any team. You know, and
exactly.
So for me, it was just. I think it was just people blowing off steam. I mean, unnecessary.
I mean, England have their own culture. On a barber's chair and freaking pour beer all over themselves. That's disrespectful to beer. That's disrespectful to beer and to barber's chairs. It's totally
You mean
disrespectful.
the dentist chair? You mean?
Dentist, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, the
yeah,
same
the
thing, yeah.
dentist chair. No, but they love that. They love
Yeah.
that when that happened. They were all praising Gaza, like taking the make out of something they did in real life, and but now
Yeah.
all of a sudden it's the Brazilians. I mean, cast your mind back to 1990, Roger Miller and the dance Roger Miller did.
Oh, there you go.
Then, then no one complained when the Brazilians did the Rock the Baby, Bebeto, and the
At the
rest.
better,
Everyone
exactly.
found that charming. That should have been
Absolutely.
insulting to the Swedes, right? But it
Yeah.
wasn't. Everyone found it charming. But all of a sudden now, because you're kind of upset. I love Roy Keane. In a weird way, sometimes I think Roy Keane decides to take the opposing view to create good television. Sometimes
Absolutely.
I think
Absolutely.
I think he plays I think he plays the pantomime villain because he knows everybody. He starts complaining about stuff. That's just my belief. I think he's a really lovely guy, and I think he just says, you know what, I'm just going to be this guy because I'm on this show and everything else. But speaking of the Brazilian goals, that first goal by Vinicius, it reminded me, so you're into golf as well. It was like a lovely chip. Everybody
Oh,
expected him to like hold the ball and he just did boom. It was just a lovely dink. And I was like,
absolutely.
only golfers would get that feeling. It's like a chip. It's just a lovely chip. And when you get it right and it hits the sweet spot of the club, and
Exactly.
he just placed it. And for me, that
Speaking of which,
was
we need to book a time for us to go and play.
we need to we need to.
Oh,
And then
so both of you they play golf.
Yes, we do.
ah, that's my father's legacy to me. It's like golf is the is the only way forward. But also with
But
Richie's
please,
goal,
we're not gonna bail, so don't worry about that.
not professional level. But with Richie's goal as well, you had two defenders, Marquinhos, and the true pass was from Thiago Silva. Can you imagine Thiago Silva making a pass that, all due respect, would Harry Maguire have ever made that kind of pass? We saw Harry Maguire attempt to cross. We saw him attempt to cross the other day, and they're still looking for the ball in somewhere in Qatar. But yeah, I I I expected the Brazilians to win, but I didn't think it would be like four. I thought the Koreans would come out and be a little more. And the Koreans tried. I think the mistake they made was they tried to play the Brazilians toe to toe. They were quite open, and you don't play. If you're not on their level, you can't play Brazil. The movement's too quick, and it was just unfortunate, especially for Son, our player Song Heung-min. He did very, very well. He had one chance that hit Allison on the shoulder. If not, that would have been a very good goal by Son. Son had a very good opportunity. He did the best he could. He leaves this World Cup with no goals, one assist. But I think he did quite well. I think the injury to his face held him back. People say, "Oh, why?" But you can tell he was quite uncomfortable in most of the games. He struggled on because of it was his country. We look forward to having him back at Tottenham. And that's it. Yeah, Brazil move on.
Absolutely. So yeah, Brazil moved on. We move on. Well, another one of those big matches in terms of expectation. And on the day England played really, really well. I mean, I was super pleased. I mean, in the sense that a lot of people had kind of felt that they would get a much tougher game from Senegal. Senegal started very well and had a couple of chances that they could have gone ahead, you know. But I still feel that England, I don't know, maybe if they've gone behind, I mean, they might have changed their approach. But I felt that they seemed comfortable enough, and uh, honestly, for me, Jude Bellingham, what a player! What a player! I mean, he's 19 years old, and he's so commanding in that midfield. He's like the epitome of a complete player, you know. And when he picks up the ball from, I don't know if you remember that first goal, when he picks up the ball from the edge of the box, you know, he just drove forward and the whole thing just opened up like the Red Sea, you know. I mean, he played. I mean, I think he's a monster of a player. Currently, he's valued at 130 million. You think that's too cheap?
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Jude.
I think he's worth the money. If Jack Grealish is going for 100 million,
There you
you
go.
know, that's But I think I think quite a few things. You already know I'm very critical of Gareth Southgate. I'm not a huge Gareth Southgate fan. I think he's messed up a lot of chances for England. That's my personal opinion, tactically. But he did something that really amazed me because looking at that lineup and seeing Jordan Henderson come into the side, that surprised me. I was like, because I look at Jordan Henderson sometimes, I think he's quite limited as a midfielder. But what was brilliant was England went from a 4-2-3-1 to 4-3-3. And that 4-3-3 now had Declan Rice at the base and allowed Henderson protect Bellingham and allow Bellingham go forward. Before playing that 4-2-3-1, you had Mason Mount. And Mason Mount was a problem. I kept writing in the group that Mason Mount was a problem because Mason Mount is supposed to be sort of like the Ericsson, if you think of Pochettino's 4-2-3-1. And he wasn't doing that, in my opinion. I thought he was quite limited. But if you go to 4-3-3 and allow Jude Bellingham running behind, Kane can drop deep to play a more facilitating kind of role. And that's what you saw. Jude Bellingham was breaking lines right, left, and center. And then Kane drops deep. Bellingham runs behind him. He pushes the ball through. Henderson Henderson makes the run in as well. And boom, you get the goal. And it starts up. And then Foden as well coming on. That was another brave choice because most people expected Rashford. Raheem Sterling had to go home because of security issues with his house. His house got raided, or armed robbers came to his house and stuff with his family there. But I think Sterling would have been dropped anyway. That's my mindset. I think Sterling was going to get dropped. But everyone expected Rashford, who was the hero of the qualification at the last game, to get the start. And he puts Foden. And I'm like, that's a bit of what Foden was. He made the right choice. I have to give Gareth Southgate his flowers. Playing Jordan Henderson and playing Foden, stroke of genius. And both players had one scored and one assisted twice.
Yeah.
10 out of 10 for Gareth Southgate for that. 10
Yeah,
out of 10.
I
And
thought
then,
that was a
Saka scoring. Saka is the only Arsenal player. We don't say that Arsenal word here, but he's the only Arsenal player functioning. The Tottenham boys are doing their work, but then Harry Kane's goal. Can't leave without saying Harry Kane. I said it on the group. I called certain things that have happened. I said Richarlison was going to score. He scored. And I said Kane is going to hit something today in knockouts. I said something about knockouts is where people like him come to the fore because there are going to be spaces opening up. And Harry Kane took his goal like the Harry Kane that we know. In fact, I expected him to score. He missed a chance earlier on that came behind
Yeah,
him
the
and he
ball went
sort of
behind him,
had
you
to
know?
adjust his body. He should have still buried that, in my opinion. But that's because he set himself such high standards. I expect those things to go in. But Harry Kane scored his goal, brilliantly taken. That game was over 2-0 halftime, and then Foden makes the break, plays the ball. Saka lifts the ball. I give him his flowers as well. Most people that blasted that, he just chipped the keeper expertly. 3-0, and England are through. Senegal, disappointing. Once again, you saw the real reason that Mane is such a great player. Mane would have occupied that England side, but he wasn't there. They had no cutting edge up top really, and they gave a good account on themselves in this tournament. Made it to the second round, but unfortunately they had to go.
Yeah, I mean that was
I think
the England in that half of the draw. I mean, this same half of the draw, we also had. I mean, okay, the other half we had the Richarlison show. This time around, we have the Kylian Mbappe show. I mean, this.
can I say something first?
Please.
Because I think we've just glossed over the first 35 minutes, England versus freaking Senegal. I swear to God, ask any England fan, and they were shitting themselves, pardon my language, the first 35 minutes, because Senegal were taking it to pieces.
Yeah, I
They
mean,
were, honestly.
I didn't
They
gloss
didn't
over
take
that.
their
Like, if
chances.
I remember, I said at the beginning that they started well, had a couple of chances, and they didn't take those chances. But England grew into the game. But I felt that even though Senegal played, I mean, reasonably well I mean, in the opening stages, and they didn't take those chances, I just still felt that England still had enough control to turn the game around, even if they went behind. But I mean, well, I guess in the end, it turned out that Senegal seemed to run one of those teams that had no real what I call sharp ideas to overrun England. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, good effort to begin with, but a bit disappointing in the end. I expected a lot more from Senegal, to be honest. Yeah, but hey,
Yeah.
England were just put too strong for them at the end of the day on that match. I mean, I was coming back to the Kylian Mbappe show. Now, he's got 5 goals so far in the World Cup. 5 goals. I mean, and it looks like I mean, it's one of two things. Either he scores more against England, or that I mean he goes home. What do you reckon it's going to be? I mean, we'll review we will preview the matches on another episode of this. But I mean, against Poland, he was just irresistible. You know, totally irresistible. Ben, what do you reckon, Ben?
Yeah, it was totally irresistible, and I think the whole French team played well. But having Mbappe up front, there's no team that won't want Mbappe up front. The guy's a genius. He was, I mean, we saw what he did 4 years ago. He was a young player, came in and scored goals, and this year if he can go from strength to strength, I think you can't catch him. He can do everything. He can do anything with the ball, absolutely anything with the ball. So I think personally, I mean, I want England to do well, but it's unfortunate they're up against France, and barring a miracle, I see France going through as the holders as well. Um, I see France going through, unfortunately. But hey, what can I
Yeah, I
say?
mean, well, we'll come to that on another episode. But hey,
Mm.
I I think I mean I probably I'm going to disagree on that one. But I think England might nick it. But hey, what do I know? You know, another blockbuster of a match. This one for me probably the story of the tournament so far. You know,
Oh
Morocco versus
yeah,
Spain. Um, on paper,
Soufiane Amrabat. Amrabat, what a
you know,
player!
on
Average,
paper,
average.
everyone has written off Morocco, thinking that Spain blew them off the park. You know, however, if you remember that Morocco topped their group, the group that contained Belgium, Denmark, and what was that? I think was it Switzerland? I can't remember who was that match that group as well.
Yeah, it was Switzerland.
Yeah, it was Switzerland in group. Oh gosh, I can't remember for the life of me who in that group. Remind me.
I can't even remember who was in the group. To be honest. Let me go. Um,
That Croatia, yeah.
Canada, Croatia, Belgium, Canada, Croatia, and Belgium.
Exactly. So, and they topped that group. I mean, ahead of Croatia and ahead of Belgium. But that was no mean feat in my view, you know. And for me, they'll they'll give a good account of themselves. I think one of the players of the tournament for me so far has probably been um, probably the revelation, if you like, Amrabat. Now,
Uh,
Chuma, you know Amrabat very well. He plays for
what, what, what,
plays for
what, what, what,
Fiorentina.
what can I say? I was raving about him in December before Spurs' January window. I raved about him in on the group when we were trying to buy a midfield player. We ended up with Bentancur, who I said was equally as good. But I wouldn't have been disappointed if Amrabat had joined Spurs. And people on that group didn't understand because they had never seen him play. He plays for Fiorentina at the moment, but he played for Verona in Italy. And this guy is just a very gifted guy. He can play as a defensive midfielder. He can play as a box to box. He's very creative. The main chance that Morocco had in this game was he put a beautiful through ball in for the substitute striker who missed. He just didn't know what he was doing. But the thing about Spain, I've been highly, highly critical of their manager, Luis Enrique. Luis Enrique, like Pep Guardiola, is a disciple of Johan Cruyff. But while Pep Guardiola has evolved his style, Luis Enrique has stayed stagnant, in my opinion. He still does the pass, 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 pass. Pep doesn't do pass, pass, pass. Pep is more pass, pass, penetration. And I watched Spain, and Spain have been doing this thing for a while. They don't have any killers in the final third. Their balls up until the final third, and every team knows that if you can stop Spain from penetrating you and taking a shot, you have a chance. And these guys were so disciplined. Amrabat leading it and everything else. Sorry, on me.
One thing I
And
found. Go on, carry on. Carry on.
Sorry, I was muted. Sorry. Yeah, so Amrabat leading that, but they were so disciplined defensively, and Spain just kept passing, 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 and there was no cutting edge. There was no cutting edge. And in fact, Morocco had like four chances. If you really look at the game properly, they had four chances. They had a couple of headers that their defenders missed that would have been goals. And but their goalkeeper as well, honorable mention, he could have been man of the match as well. Bono, I didn't know was Moroccan because I'd seen him play for Sevilla in Spain. He's actually the goalkeeper of the year in the Spanish league last season. And I thought he was Spanish. I honestly thought Bono was Spanish. And then to see him play for Morocco, for a lot of the Spanish people, like the two players that came to haunt Spain happened to be Spanish Moroccans, Bono and Hakimi, who
And
scored the
Hakimi.
final penalty.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Madrid, was a Real Madrid fan, is still a Real Madrid fan. He should have stayed at Madrid. And, but the Spanish are out. And in my opinion, I called it in another group. I have receipts. I said Morocco will take them out. I said Spain don't look like they have any killing players. Morata comes on. All of us here know Morata from his exploits in different. Morata is just this guy that has 5 chances and he'll score one.
Well, I think this is 5. You mean 15?
15 chances, and he's like, I like the guy, but I would never spend my money buying that man. Like he's just not that guy. Spain had the David Villa, they had Fernando Torres, they had people that once they got that ball, one chance, two chance, boom. This guy, once he comes on, it's not happening. And for Spain, it's unfortunate, but I think they should reconsider who their management is now. I think Luis Enrique, to me, in my opinion, has come to the end of the road for me. I don't see why he should stay on as manager of Spain. He's had 2, 3 chances, bites at the apple, and it's not worked. So, they've got very good young players. They can develop those players, So, my opinion.
They have 4 years to do it.
Final match for the group stages was Portugal and Switzerland. I think possibly the most disappointing match for me for 2 reasons. First, it was the Swiss performance was so disappointing. I mean, I just felt
Swiss cheese,
so feeble, and it just didn't sort of seem right. However, it was a big revelation at the end of it. Talk us through that, Ben. That young man who came in for Mr. Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I mean,
what a guy. What's his name again? Because I know his name is Ramos, but his first name it's
Gonzalo Ramos.
Gonzalo, spelled with a C. That's right. Gonzalo Ramos. What a player. But first of all, I got to say the Swiss.
21 years old.
What? Pardon?
21.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, well, look at it this way. Before I continue, the Swiss, according to most commentators, had more holes in their cheese, for Christ's sakes. They had more holes in their defense than their cheese. It was terrible, very terrible from display from the Swiss. I expected the Portuguese to do it for the simple reason that I didn't know about Ramos, but from the way they played, I thought that they were going to do it, but I was shocked with the way they did it. It was a great match to watch. It was good to see Ronaldo on the bench. because obviously we saw from the match that the match took the pan out a different way without Ronaldo there, and he sat there on the bench, and when he came on and people were shouting and screaming, it was the look on his face was that yeah, you tell the manager, you should have played me. Then he came on the pitch and did bullshit. Pardon my French, but he was I won't say it was a mess, but luckily Portugal had already won the match by the time he came on, because obviously if he'd been on, we wouldn't have had Ramos, and so we wouldn't have had those goals. Simple.
I think one of the big things we're seeing in this World Cup is a bit of a change of guard on one hand, but for Ronaldo, I mean, you're finding that a player who everyone has so much regard for suddenly just gone down in everybody's estimation. I mean, both in terms of his attitude, in terms of his demeanor, and how he plays with the rest of the team. I mean, I just find it really bizarre that no team wants to take him on. I can't imagine Messi. I mean, okay, this is probably going to start a debate now. I mean, where where I mean is available to go to another team, and people will say no. I mean, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I don't understand how you have sort of. It's a bit of PR, right? It's a bit of unfortunate, maybe style of play.
It is.
It's just not. It's just not.
He's a forward, and Messi is a creative midfielder that can play forward, and that's shown now. And it's unfortunate, but you saw the movement of those Portuguese boys without him was excellent. Switzerland were poor, don't get me wrong, but you saw João Felix, you saw Bernardo Silva. They were moving. They were doing things that they wouldn't do when Cristiano Ronaldo is on the pitch, because Cristiano Ronaldo's hand is always up saying, "Give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me the ball." And these guys were moving, passing, creating angles, creating triangles. João Felix was controlling the game. I've never seen João Felix play like that for Portugal. Bernardo Silva was free. Even his own friend, what they call him, what's the guy who was supposed to be at Spurs, ended up at Man United. He had some freedom as well. He had some freedom. Everybody had freedom, and it's unfortunate. It's the end of an era. Great players. It happens to some great players. The best great players are the ones that know when to walk away. Like people like Platini and the rest of them walk away. They don't stay to be supplanted by somebody else. But he has stayed on, and this year has exposed him both club and country. Everyone was saying it was Manchester United the problem. Ten Hag was the problem. He's come to his country, he's done the same thing, and he's annoyed his manager, Fernando Santos, as well. They had a falling out. And Fernando Santos benched him. And luckily for him, those boys came through, and now it's justified he's been benched. Now he has to be benched throughout the tournament.
That's all.
So it is.
So it's
sorry, I'm about to get bounced from the room I'm in now, so I don't know. I might end up leaving because they're telling me they need to take over the place I'm in now. So.
Oh, I see. Right. Okay. So let's. I mean, we're just about to round up. I mean, we have. Let's just have a quick look at the final matchups for the next group stage. So for the quarterfinals, I mean, we have. Let's have a look. Just bear with me 1 second while I just put that up. All right. So we have. Right, last 8 matchups is this Argentina, Netherlands, all right? And then we have Brazil, Croatia, England, France, Morocco, Portugal. Don't give me your predictions just yet, okay? But yes, we'll cover that in the next next episode. In the meantime, can I just say thank you very much, guys? It's been fantastic having you guys. And yeah, it's great. We look forward to the next level of matches, and then hopefully we'll well done, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
See you in a bit.
Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Take care.
Come on, you Spurs.
You guys, I have to run, guys. I'll try and call you back.
All right.